Leventhal is standing by tonight in Jerusalem. Rick.
Sean, angry mobs, flag burning, and bloodshed across the region with anti-American demonstrations in 20 different countries in northern Africa and the Middle East. We've heard of hundreds injured and several killed, including 3 in Tunisia, which looked like war in the streets today. Thousands of rock-throwing protesters clashing with police who fired tear gas and live rounds into the crowd. The demonstrators ransacked the U.S. Embassy, breaking windows, starting fires, looting telephones and computers, ripping down the American flag. They burned it and replaced it with a black flag of Islam. They also trashed a U.S. school next door, and some of them were chanting, according to the wire services, "Obama, Obama, we are all Osamas." Similar violence broke out in Sudan, where after men said their Friday prayers, they charged a line of riot police and then stormed the German embassy, breaking down walls, setting fires before being dispersed with tear gas. An elite Marine rapid response team was flown in to help secure the facility in Sudan. Marines also dispatched to Yemen, where there was more anti-American ugliness, another U.S. flag torn and burned, anti-American slogans being chanted. Rocks were thrown, fires started, and those people squared off with security officials as well outside the U.S. Embassy there. All of this in apparent retaliation for that low-budget, poorly produced, obscure anti-Muslim film on the internet. Sean, some of these protesters are not only calling for Americans to get out of the country, they're also calling for the producers and people who took part in that film to be killed under Sharia law. Sean?
Important report tonight. Thanks, Rick Leventhal. As we watch these deadly protesters, we are reminded that it is not just President Obama who has been failing the American people during this international crisis, also the mainstream media in America as well. Now, journalists are asleep at the wheel. There is no accountability for failed leadership. There are no hard questions being asked. So tonight, we present a list of questions that our inept media ought to be asking the White House. For example, why did your administration apologize for hurting the feelings of the radicals that were attacking and breaching the walls of our embassy and burning our flags? Why are you giving billions of taxpayer dollars in foreign aid to Egypt, a country where Osama bin Laden's name has been spray painted now onto our embassy? And how could you have been so wrong about the Muslim Brotherhood during the so-called Arab Spring? Oh, and by the way, we have a dead ambassador. We have 2 dead Navy SEALs and another dead American, and the Al-Qaeda flag now hangs over our embassy in Tunisia. What are you going to do, Mr. President? Joining me with analysis, Fox News political analyst Kirsten Powers, also with us, Fox News contributor Tucker Carlson. Kirsten, I got to start and give you props. You have been one of the few that has said what they did, coordinating, colluding questions to Mitt Romney, is outrageous, and not asking the administration the right questions. You know, you could really say that the media is sold out. This is media malpractice on a level I don't even think we've seen before.
Yeah, I certainly have never seen anything like this before, and their lack of curiosity, really, about what's going on or why we didn't hear from President Obama for such a long time. They're so obsessed with Mitt Romney's statement, which I've said before, if you think there was something wrong with Mitt Romney's statement, fine. But how about looking at what the president did? How about asking, where was the White House? Why was the only thing we heard from anybody related to Obama, the Obama campaign? The first statement they put out was to criticize Mitt Romney and to say, oh, how dare he politicize this, when they still had not even attacked the fact that our embassy had been attacked. And then we, at that time, knew 1 consulate worker was dead.
Great points, and I give you a lot of credit as a Democrat. I know you've taken heat for it, but it's the truth. And at moments like this, when our embassies are attacked, our ambassadors killed, and SEALs are killed, it's about time we get some truth. I want to turn to you.
Yeah.
This seems to be a mentality. He goes, I've ended torture in America. Of all places, he said it in Cairo. This is a president that wouldn't use the term war on terror, their man-caused disasters, overseas contingency operation. Fort Hood happens, and they refer to it as workplace violence. Right. There has been a resistance, there's a mysterious reluctance and resistance to identify radical Islamists for who they are. Why? Well, because his worldview is very, very different from yours, actually, and I would say very different from most Americans' worldview. But I just want to get back to the press for a second. Obama's running a campaign. He sees the world in a certain way. He's trying to live out his values such as they are. The press's job is to hold him accountable, and they are falling down. Do you know what the lead story right now in Politico is at this exact moment?
the GOP's foreign policy muddle. It's about the Republican Party's foreign policy. Here's a newsflash. The Republican Party doesn't control America's foreign policy. Obama does. The Middle East is on fire right now, and the press, rather than follow that story, is carrying water for the administration.
And where was the extra security, Kirsten? This is 9/11.
Yeah.
Where
No,
was the extra
exactly.
security?
Exactly.
Why is the president going to Vegas? Why Vegas? You know,
Well,
we've got a dead ambassador and 2 dead Navy SEALs. Why Vegas?
Especially when everybody's so obsessed with the politicization of this, right? You know, that was the supposedly what Romney did that was so terrible, and then Obama can go to Las Vegas, and that's just completely fine. Look, there are so many questions that have not been answered because they haven't been asked. And even when they did the Mitt Romney press conference, they asked him the same question like 7 times in a row.
Yeah, they colluded, but I'm running out of time. You know, they did this with Mitt Romney, and I got to be honest. I don't think I liked Mitt Romney more, you know, when he came out and if our embassies are attacked and our flags ripped down and our Americans are getting killed, which happened later after a state, I want leaders to speak out and say, you're not going to do this to our country. And that was a moment for him.
And then the next 24 hours consisted of story after story about Mitt Romney's gaffe. Again, the press carrying water for Obama. The key storyline that the press has backed up from the White House is this is about the movie. It's about the video. The Middle East is on fire because somebody
It's on the internet. It's planned since August.
Exactly. And yet you read the New York Times story after story after story about this stupid video as if that's the genesis of all this. It has nothing to do with what we're seeing going on in the Middle East. You'd have to be a New York Times reporter to believe something that stupid.
You're going to be hosting Fox and Friends this weekend?
Yes.
Okay, we'll be watching. And Kirsten, great column and great
Thank
commentary. I do like agreeing with you once in a while.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
No, I won't. Believe me, I know better. But anyway, thanks for being with us.
But I feel safer now.